that statement we've just gone through is not signed by me, and I'm saying it's fabricated because I never made it. The statement I did make to DI3 is not on the exhibit list. That Robert Roper had no idea what was in that car. I never told him. Only two people knew that, with Mark Hughes and myself. He was hired by me, and it wasn't £500 a day as stated by Free. It was £50. I did pick up Dennis, and both of them men, including myself, are absolutely innocent of any crime of handling or any criminal offence whatsoever in this case.
So that's DI3's statement of what you allegedly said, but it's not signed by you?
Not signed.
Right.
It's fabricated. Now I'd like to take you on a quick one made by police solicitors on behalf of Paul Condom. And I would like you to read it, and I'll ask you to stop at a certain place on it, yeah?
Right.
This is the statement. This is all it is this page, this little bit.
This is a copy of a letter from the Metropolitan Police to Messrs David A. Ruby and Company, Solicitors 53 The Market, Rose Hill, Sutton, Surrey, dated the 28th of April 1993. Dear Sirs, Re. David Ford, thank you for your letter of the 22nd of April 1993. I presume that the documents referred to in the second paragraph of your letter are different documents from those allegedly suppressed by police in the course of your client's prosecution, but I would be grateful if you would please clarify this. Perhaps Mr. Ford's former solicitors kept a copy of the receipt, which would be useful for the avoidance of any doubt. It seems that not only was the allegation of suppression of evidence not made by Mr. Ford in evidence at his trial, but also, from what I can gather from the transcript of the judge's summing up, it was not put to any officer in cross-examination by Mr. Ford's representatives.
Stop there. It wasn't put to any representation of mine, my barrister, because I was refused to go in the dock. They wanted me to go in before my witnesses, and my barrister wanted my witnesses in first, which included i.e. British American Customs, solicitors, and art gallery statements, yeah?
Yes.
But David Gibson Lee, the prosecution barrister, he told us that we would be on the next day. So they carried on dealing with either Robert or Dennis Roper in the morning, and we come to lunchtime. Still no indication he wanted me on in the afternoon. We were still prepared for the next day when our witnesses were supposed to be at court. We come back from lunch at 2 o'clock, at 2:20. David Gibson Lee finished with whichever one of the Ropers he was cross-examining at the time, then asked me to go in the dock. We wasn't prepared. So there was an argument, a legal argument, not an argument, a legal argument between the judge, I think it was Reed, Mr. Reed or something, David Gibson Lee, and Jeremy Dean, my barrister at the time, QC at them now, that we wasn't prepared as our witnesses we needed weren't present. David Gibson Lee wanted me to go in for reasons known to him only. I think I know the reasons, but I can't speculate. And we wasn't. And the judge wasn't prepared to go into Henshaw, who was pleading guilty anyway, and would have done that afternoon, and we could have started with me in the morning. But they wanted us in a certain line.
Yes.
Right? So it made them look like they've got a gang of whatever they want to call us. And we wasn't prepared. and the judge wasn't prepared, told the court, to say 4 innocent men going to prison. But prior to that, the Friday before, he was prepared to shut the court in the afternoon so he could take his wife Christmas shopping, which I suppose is more important than saving 4 innocent men going to prison.
Apparently so.
That's the statement there. The copy will be going up to the CCRC. But that is one lie. Sorry I interrupted you there, Chris, were you?
However, it is correct to say that Mr. Ford did not sign his interview notes. I am rather concerned that what began as a simple request for the return of documents appears to be moving towards an apparent attempt to Mr. Ford to reopen either the complaint investigation or a possible further appeal. I do not know whether you are acting for Mr. Ford at the time of his original appeal, but I am instructed that his appeal against conviction and sentence was dismissed and that the grounds of his appeal did not refer in any way to the suppression of documents by police, nor upon any allegation that the interview notes were concocted. Obviously, you may wish to check the record for yourselves, but that is my understanding of the position. I would appreciate any comments that you may have. Yours faithfully, Miss C.O.H. Neville, for solicitor.
He's a man anyway, actually, not Miss. It's Mr. This is nonsense. I asked for my documentation back that police was withholding, which we could have come to in this, right? But apparently, the man in charge was Detective Superintendent Banks of Tintagel House Corruption Squad. Now people are asking me, why didn't I go to the Police Complaint Board? Well, first of all, I don't trust them because they're liars. And that's a terrible thing to say. They send you a leaflet saying we are completely independent of the police. Ask them who does their investigation. The police.
Yes.
How are you independent from them if they're doing the investigation for you?
I'll take your point.
Right. When Banks went, I got a day's parole from prison to meet Detective Superintendent Banks at my solicitor. I'll send the copies to the CCRC. And the Banks told me he would exonerate me quicker from this case than I could get an appeal on. Can he take this paperwork away with him? I said no. The paperwork being the paperwork Morrison took from my shop. The affidavits, the plane tickets, the clean bill of health and everything. After I was sent to prison, he tried to give it to a co-defendant's wife, which we'll come to in 2 minutes. Yeah? She refused it. Got on to my solicitor, who got on to the prison, who got on to me. I got back to the solicitor and said to him, tell Morrison to bring the stuff to you. And why is he knows where I am. He knows it's not Robert's Roper property. Why is he trying to give my property to his wife? I know why. Because he was hoping it would get lost and they could bring in the statute barred, which is a 6-year thing. Which they did try to do, and I beat them in the Royal Courts of Justice on that one. Because I went to prison in December, and in February, the following year, which is only a matter of 8 weeks, my property was returned to me, and the police borrowed it to exonerate me from these charges. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, that is one load of nonsense. None of this come up at the thing. When I went for the appeal, I said, the police are still withholding my evidence. He said, well, if you haven't got it, you can't appeal. And that's the end of the subject. You only get 2 appeals. Nothing else, you have no evidence. I'm trying now on new evidence, and you've seen for yourself that it's on that one. The courts won't accept new evidence. go to the CCRC. Yeah, I'll go to the CCRC, but it don't mean to say I trust them. For the simple fact, I don't trust anyone I can't face. I'm not capable of putting on my feelings what I want to say on paper. That's why I've come to you. Right? But they sit me in front of him, and what we're doing in a couple of hours, I can do in an hour, prove my innocence. And we're going to do that now. Now, I said we're going to prove Condom guilty of withholding evidence. Would you read the end of that for me, please, Chris?
There is a manuscript, postscript, to this letter, signed for the solicitor from the Metropolitan Police, which says, P.S. Since dictating the above, I have received my client's instructions that he is not prepared to release a copy of the custody record to your client at this stage.
Condom, Commissioner of Police, knows a fair bit of the law. He knows my custody record is part of evidence. And the solicitor writing this knows that he cannot do that. It would be their job to say you can't do that, he's entitled to that as evidence to prove his innocence. So why is he doing it? Is this a conspiracy with other members of the police and the TPS to pervert the course of justice to gain a conviction?
Have you ever received a copy of your custody
Never.
record?
They've always refused it, and it's not on the exhibit list, which a copy will be going to the CCRC. That's that one. Now, I'm just going to go quickly with you through Morrison. Can we read the first of all, the date here, 26th day of November, 1985.
Indeed.
Yeah? Now, you're supposed to make your statements in the earliest possible time. 5-6 days is not a problem. But on Friday, the 18th of October, 1985, that seems quite a long time to make a statement and have a good memory.
Yeah. It's over a
Right?
month.
I was on duty at Eston Service Station on the M4. He wasn't on duty, he was part of the conspiracy for entrapment, because it was him and Leach who set it up. And I don't know why Free, at this stage, Free's got to answer for himself, why he needed them. Did he not have any men at Hounslow? We're not going into that. I'm going to speak to you about, this is after we got arrested. Do you want to?
I'm going to speak to you about the property you were found in possession of earlier today. But first I must tell you that you are under caution.
At this stage, he's speaking to, I think it's, Dennis Roper. He's speaking to Dennis Roper. You're under caution, yeah?
I then cautioned Rother, to which he said, yes, I know. I said, you were arrested earlier with your brother Robert and another man, David Ford, in possession of property which I know is stolen.
Stop. How do you know it's stolen?
Is this correct? He said, I don't know nothing about stolen property.
That's true, he didn't.
I said, will you tell me how you came to be at Heston Service area today? He said, I went for a walk. D.S. Smith said, don't be ridiculous, you live in Battersea.
He didn't, he lived in Tooting.
He said, I went for a walk near Battersea Bridge and David was driving past and he picked me up. I said, what did he say? He said, come for a ride. I said, is that all? He said, yes, I just went for a ride with him. I said, what about